In this video, we're going to be talking about what are the easiest to hardest characters to climb to Grandmaster with. Now, before we begin, I want to make it clear that this is going to be taking the Season 4 balance changes into account, so keep that in mind. Now, the first character that we got to talk about is Roadhog. Now, while he can still one-shot in the right conditions, it's so much less reliable than before. This really means that Roadhog is going to be harder to solo carry with because the windows of time to actually get a hook that's meaningful is going to be a lot less. Not to mention, there's a number of characters in the game that just straight up shut him down. Characters like Ana are seeing a ton of play. Other characters like Arisa have just perma CC that can shut him down over and over and over again. And while I do think that if you're mechanically good and you know how to use your cooldowns well, you can easily climb to Diamond with Roadhog. But past that, when you try to get through Diamond and Masters to Grandmaster with Roadhog, you're gonna have some trouble. I don't think that he is the hardest to climb to Grandmaster with in the game, but I think he's just overall fairly weak, and it's going to be hard to get through that Master's threshold. I'm going to put him in the C tier. This might change over time. Now, the next character on the list that we have is Ana, and Ana is kind of an all-star. She really can do everything that you need her to do in order to carry a game. She can have very impactful sleeps, very impactful nades that can carry fights. You can bail out feeding teammates, and you can get picks yourself. I think that while she has the capability to carry, there's a couple of things that you have to learn to become a Grandmaster tier Ana. You have to learn good positioning. You have to have decent mechanical skill. So you're not going to get Grandmaster for free by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that you have all of the carry potential to do so to climb really easy. Now, that being said, with the new sleep change, I think that this might change a little bit. That sleep change where now tanks are going to wake up a lot faster, that kind of sucks to your carry potential, especially because tanks are sometimes your biggest problem on Ana, where a tank comes after you, especially a dive tank. Characters like Doomfist, characters like Winston, these characters are characters that you normally can shut down, and if you hit the sleep, then you're going to win the fight, but now not 100% with certainty. Oh, and of course Hammond is a big one as well. I'm actually going to put her at the top of A tier. I could see justifying her in S tier, but I think that I'm going to put her here for now. Sigma. Now, Sigma's strange because I don't think he's necessarily a character that you would want to play on every map, right? He has some really polarizing maps where some maps are just really, really great for him and others are just not that great. He's typically not that good on a lot of Koth maps, and there are some maps where you could justify other characters. I think outside of Koth, though, he's phenomenal. And especially on the sniper maps, he's amazing. You can play him in a lot of situations. And he can carry really, really hard because of how good he is at shutting down DPS. If you just shut down DPS, apply a ton of pressure to them, Sigma can just deadlift a game. A Sigma can exist like on an off angle, pushing up on your squishies, even ignoring the enemy tank. And a lot of times you should, as long as you play your ranges. I think that Sigma, just his base playstyle, is crazy strong. And I know he's getting some changes now, but if you hit consistent rocks, it's actually better than before because you're going to keep them chained for longer. It's not going to do as much damage, but it is going to keep them stunned for longer. I'm really going to put him in the S tier. I think that he's one of the easiest characters to get Grandmaster with if you learn some of the fundamentals that you have to learn pretty much on every tank. Just effective range, making sure you're playing your distance, you're not putting yourself in a bad ranged matchup, like you're making sure to give space to characters that want to brawl you, like Zarya and Ryan. I think he's great. I think he's really, really great, but I don't think you can necessarily one-trick him because there's some maps that he's just not that great with, and there's also some comps that he's not that great with. He's not great with, like, dive characters, so if you're playing with, like, a Trace or Genji, maybe you shouldn't be rocking that Sigma, but having him as, like, one character and then having, like, maybe, like, a Hammond as your secondary pick, perfect hero pool in my perfect personal opinion. Now, let's talk about Arisa. Arisa's strange because I think that Arisa is, like, a 52 percentile tank where you're really good at canceling out the other tank's impact and then doing a little bit more if you're good, but I don't think you're going to deadlift games. And I think if you play enough games on Arisa and you play each game well, you will eventually climb to Grandmaster, but you're not going to be hard carrying or hard deadlifting a lot of games. So it's going to take a while. And that's kind of why I think that she's not the easiest to climb, even though from a mechanical point of view, as long as you play cover and cycle your cooldowns, you're going to be able to climb fairly easy on this character. But As far as the power level is concerned, like, can you hard carry games that easily? I don't think so. And I think she's a great character to whip out as like a flex spot if your team is having trouble with something that you can shut down. But as far as like playing this character to grind all the way to Grandmaster, I would say probably B. Bit better than Hog on power level is concerned, but actually a little bit worse than Hog as a potential like deadlift carry character. Now the next character that we have is Brig, and pre-buff to her rally, I thought that Brig was actually a pretty strong character to get Grandmaster with. Before she got the rally or the armor pack change, I thought that she was probably like high C. I think that she had some trouble carrying. You typically had to play bodyguard to somebody, and that person needed to be worth bodyguarding. So I think she could be played like in C, and you could still carry reasonably well if you just like never died and didn't feed and consistently like triggered your inspire and denied dives and stuff like that. But once the repair pack buff got introduced, or the change, I think you could carry a lot harder. And now she was like high B. You could even justify low A. But now, especially with the change to her ult, which can stun, mass stun, has a huge shield, this character is crazy, man. Like, it's really, really crazy. I think that probably in the A tier, like this, you could maybe even justify that it's higher than Ana in some cases, just because of how dominant that damn shield is going to be, that ult is going to be. Nano's really strong too, though. We all know how strong, like, Nano comboing is. Like, Nano Ramatra is like a super simple combo that's just super strong. I do think that Rally is more powerful, not comboed individually, so like maybe you could justify it there. But yeah, I'm gonna put these characters like neck and neck. I think Brig is like a very, very hard carry support now, and it's gonna be fairly easy to get Brig to Grandmaster. So yeah, I'm super excited about seeing how that plays out. I'm super excited, and by excited I mean terrified. Anyways, we're gonna talk about Widowmaker. And Widowmaker's weird because I could put her in a couple of different like parks, right? I could say if you have the skill, right, you're really, really good mechanically, you can easily dominate and get to Grandmaster, right? You can solo carry. Of course you can if you have the skill. You just get multiple picks every fight. People have poor movement, the lower in rank you go, and you can carry that way. But as far as earning that skill, learning and earning that aim, it's not easy. Getting that is not easy. It takes a lot of time and repetition to get the mechanical skill required to carry on Widow. Plus, there are some characters that really make your life a living hell. Specifically, Wrecking Ball is like a nightmare to deal with. And of course, people can always switch to characters like Sombra. I still think that she's really, really strong, capable of hard carrying, and she probably has a higher hard carry potential than most characters in the game. So it's weird whether we put her high up because she can do that, or do we put her lower because she's harder to learn. I'm still gonna put her like up towards the top. I think I should put her up towards the top. Realistically, on the maps that she's good on, you don't even need to be amazing at Widow to have a crazy amount of value with the character. Kind of like Sigma though, there are going to be some maps where she's harder to play unless you're really, really good with her. But if you are good with her mechanically, you could just kind of deadlift every single game. So I'm putting her up here. And now we're going to move on to Echo. Echo's an interesting one because I think that Echo's actually a bit more difficult. I mean, pretty hard to get to Grandmaster with because Echo is hard to get to work. She has a lot more natural counters. And yes, you can certainly become cracked at this character and deadlift games. We've seen it before. It's not easy to do. You have to kind of be something different to be able to do that. I think from a climb to Grandmaster point of view, especially if you're going to be someone that's pocketed, Pharah is going to be a bit easier than Echo is. I still think that Echo has the tools to carry you, but you have to build yourself up in a lot of ways, have decent tracking, have good engagement, and of course a lot of understanding with like who to ult and how to use your ult. I think she's actually fairly hard. I'm going to put her high B to climb to Grandmaster with. Next up, we got to talk about Zarya. I think Zarya is like a deadlift character, really, really strong and fairly simple to get Grandmaster with, if I'm being honest. I think that because you can get really high charge, you can oftentimes push past the frontline tank and just like straight up kill squishies and become this like one-man army. Really, really strong, really powerful. The only thing that I think is like a little bit annoying about Zarya is when players start to play around her properly. No, like tracers could be very annoying, things that dive past you. Of course, fly characters are annoying, but for the most part, you're gonna get like a crazy amount of resources the lower in rank you go. A lot of times supports heavily focus on healing, and especially healing the tank. And a Zarya that is just like being supercharged with resources can deadlift games, like really, really deadlift games. That being said, there are some support combos that kind of suck with Zarya, but you see those less often. So like Zen is not that great with Zarya most of the time. At least he can be. But if you want to deadlift and hard carry games with Zarya, you want to be like the focus of your supports enabling, right? You want like every nano. You want to be perma-pocketed. You want to just be perma-juiced at all times. And I think you're going to get that underneath the Grandmaster rank for the most part. I think this character is really strong to hard carry. I'm actually going to put her here. I'm going to put her in high best tier. Keep in mind, for the majority of the tanks, I'm actually going to put them higher, because I think that tanks are most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are easier than some of the other characters, or most of the other characters, to climb to Grandmaster with. Past that, you can make an argument no, but to Grandmaster, I think yes. But I'll give my reasoning as we keep going. Sojourn. A weird character. Kind of weird, because I think Sojourn with the Mercy Pocket's really strong, and Sojourn, of course, individually is strong, but doesn't really hard carry the same way that some of these other characters can, I think, unless you have really, really great mechanical skill. Like, you can dink heads and you can pop off and consistently apply pressure. I think she has the means to carry. You just need high skill, and and I think there's other characters you could do it easier with, most likely. If you're like a god at Sojourn and you're so good that you can hard carry game after game after game, you're definitely going to be able to do it a bit easier on, you know, maybe Ashe, maybe Cassidy, or even like, I mean, a Widowmaker, honestly. I think Sojourn's still good, still really strong. Not quite to the S tier, I would say. Probably bottom of A is what I'm gonna put her. I think I would put her there. You know, Sojourn players, Sojourn mains, in the comments, you could tell me if you agree or disagree with me. I think I play Sojourn probably the least out of every single character in the game, so I might not be fair here. But yeah, I'm gonna put her kind of around here. I still think she's a really great like carry character, but not as much as like these ones up here. Torbjorn. Torbjorn's kind of like Arisa. A little bit better, though. A little bit better than Arisa. Kind of like Arisa, where it's kind of like a 52%, more like 54, 55%. Torb's still very, very good, and it's hard to be like someone that is being a detriment to your team on Torb unless you're like feeding over and over again. But you're never going to deadlift a game as hard as like a super hard carry Widow, super hard carry Tracer, super hard carry Zarya. You're never going to deadlift that hard. You could certainly do a lot. You could certainly do your weight plus some, but you're not going to deadlift. Now, to get Grandmaster with Torb, I think it's fairly easy if you play enough games. Now, it's not going to be like something that you could just play and just like easily climb. I don't think you're going to have like 80% win rates or anything, even if you're really good at Torb. Kind of like Arisa. I'm going to put Torb actually, though, a little bit higher. B. I think fairly simple. I know that some of this list is kind of a cross between how hard a character is to learn and get good at, and a cross between what the character can carry, like how hard the character can carry. And that's kind of where we're like putting this list in, or that sweet spot is where we're existing in, because of course, if you're like an absolute god at every single character in the game, then yeah, some of these characters are going to be like super, super high up, and they're going to be super easy to carry with. And you're going to have like a fall off of impact with characters like Torb as people reach the skill ceiling with every single character. But your average player is going to have a ton of impact with Torb. The average player, even the average good player, you're going to be able to climb to Grandmaster pretty easily. So yeah, I'm putting him up top of B tier. Let me know what you think about that down below. Now we got to talk about Kiriko. Kiriko is, I think, not the easiest character to get Grandmaster with. Actually pretty bad. It's weird though. And you might not agree with me here, but hear me out. Hear me out before you make a decision. Kiriko has a really low win rate in most ranks. Most ranks, she doesn't have a high win rate. Her shurikens are not easy to use. It's not easy to inherently know how to play Kiriko. Like being proactive with the character, taking even duels is fairly difficult. Timing your Suzus right can be difficult as well. I think there's a lot to this character. Like, this character's strong, don't get me wrong, on a power level, like very, very, very strong. But as far as what you need to carry with this character, I think it's pretty difficult. I'm actually gonna put this character like here. I think I'm gonna put this character here. This one might be a little controversial. And yeah, I just don't think that this character can carry and has the hard carry impact of some of these other characters for the same like mechanical ceiling or the same skill ceiling, like this, or the same skill level. I think you're gonna have a hard time just completely taking over a game on this character. But you can definitely climb. Of course, you can climb if you have the skill set required, but it's gonna be a bit harder to hard carry, I think, than some of these other characters towards the higher end to get to Grandmaster. Anyways, May can deadlift. Make it deadlift you straight to Grandmaster so easily. You just have to learn how to properly place your walls. Make sure that you cycle your cooldowns. You don't even have to hit icicles. You just don't even have to hit icicles. You can get to Grandmaster with this character. This character's nuts. I'm putting this character. I don't even care. I'm putting this character at the top of S tier. I don't care. This character's nuts. When Brawl characters are good, when Ramatra is good, when Ryan is good, when you see Zarya seeing play, she's just nuts. She's really good. Even against Dive, she's perfectly fine. Against Hammond, she's good. I'm putting her at the top S tier. I don't care. I think this character is the easiest character, or one of the easiest characters in the game to get Grandmaster with. I think a lot of people just don't play her. They just don't put enough time into her, which is strange to me, but I think that she's super strong. She can deadlift games, and yeah. And she has more health. She's just great. She's just great. And especially if you're learning her, picking her up, I would highly suggest May if you're trying to flex to DPS from another role. Support and tank, May's great. May's really great because it challenges you more on your understanding of the game and your game sense than it does your mechanical skill. And positioning is super forgivable with this character as well. So positioning forgivable, doesn't really challenge you mechanically all that much, at least to the Grandmaster level. And it's just all game sense, baby, and that's why she's here. So next up, we got to talk about Diva. I think Diva can carry. Diva can definitely carry. It's a bit harder than I think. You're not going to carry as hard as like Sigma or Zarya. But I think that Diva can definitely deadlift a lot of games if you get good with her, but she's a bit harder to get good with than some of these other characters. So I'm actually going to put her down here. I think that Diva is actually a better character. Like, she's stronger, certainly, when you get really good with her. Like, of course, in the meta, if we talk about like a tier list, which we're going to be doing our tier list after the season 4 comes out after a while, Diva's definitely better than Zarya in the meta. Definitely stronger than Zarya in the meta. And a really good Diva could definitely carry harder at the highest ranks to play in the meta. But when we think about getting to Grandmaster with her, Diva requires much more of you to get good with. Much more from you to get good with for less a carry potential in the average rank or in the lower rank. So she's here. Zarya can carry harder than her for the majority of ranks, but I think that flips when you get past Grandmaster and people get better. I think that Diva, especially because Diva gets to control the terms of the engagement far better than Zarya can. And what that just means that she just doesn't have to fight anyone that she doesn't like want to. She gets to choose who to fight because she has mobility. So yeah, I'm putting her here. Cassidy. Now remember, Cassidy pre-Cassidy, pre-nerf. I was gonna put Cassidy at the top, like the tippy top. I thought Cassidy was like a free roll, no pun intended, to Grandmaster. He was just so strong. He did get nerfed. He lost his health. He got some nerfs to his ammo. He's weaker. He's still strong. He's not weak, but he's weaker, a lot weaker. And I think that taking away the power of his health, taking away the power of his nade a bit, makes him a bit weaker on average to Sojourn. I'm actually going to put him here. I still think he's a great character to climb to Grandmaster with, but the positioning of the character is going to be easier to punish because he doesn't have as much health. The nade isn't going to be as scary for divers, so he's going to be more susceptible to getting dove on. That all kind of comes together to make him, you know, a little bit more rocky, I would say. I'm actually looking at this list as well. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do that. Maybe this is not fair. I don't know. Echo's a weird one to place, if I'm being honest. What do y'all think Echo should be placed at? I'm not 100% sure. Jay Silly, I'm actually going to put here. This one might be controversial as well. I think that getting to Diamond with Jay Silly is very simple, relatively. You just have to kind of like live and get impactful tires. But past that, he's hard. You have to have pretty good mastery with the character. He's not as super powered as he was before, where he could get consistent one-shot combos off. Definitely, if you're a Junkrat specialist, you can climb to Grandmaster and beyond, of course. But it requires you to be really good at the character and understand your limits on the character. I don't think that he really fits the meta all that well, and especially on these sniper maps, he's really poor, like almost completely unplayable on some of these maps. There's actually quite a few maps. Most Koth maps he's pretty bad on too, so there's like only a limited amount of maps that he's actually playable on, I think, unless you're like a true Junkrat specialist. I'm gonna put him here. I'm gonna put him there. I think if you can get Grandmaster with Junkrat in this meta, I think you're automatically like pretty good on this character. Like that's impressive, I would say. And pretty much that's kind of where this puts is like, if you get Grandmaster with some of these lower characters, I'm like more surprised. You see less people in Grandmaster the lower that this goes, or less one tricks of this character in Grandmaster. Anyways, let's go to Bap. Bap's really good. Bap's just really good. It's just kind of plain and simple. Bap can deal damage. He has good mobility. He has a bailout ability. I think that for the most part, you're gonna be able to have a higher impact on Bap the majority of the time compared to Kiriko with the same level of skill. Like, you have to have quite a bit more skill on Kiriko, or quite a bit more skill on both. Like, if we had a graph, it would be like the impact on average of Kiriko doesn't exceed BAP until you get to above Grandmaster level of skill, or like above Grandmaster 5 level of skill is what I would say. Because it's easier to get impact with BAP than it is Kiriko, or at least the impact that will carry a game. Doesn't mean that you can't hard carry even higher than Grandmaster 5 on BAP, of course, but I think that, and we have data that reflects this with win rates, where BAP has a higher win rate. He has a positive win rate in like almost every rank, and Kiriko doesn't have a positive win rate except at the very highest tiers of play, the highest ranks in the game. So I'm actually gonna put him, I'm putting him here. I know I have 3 supports up towards the top of the A tier, but I think that these characters are easier to get Grandmaster than Grandmaster 5 anyway, than a lot of characters, a lot of DPS characters in the game. I think they're really strong. Don't sleep on these characters. Not every support is going to be this way, and you're going to see that in a bit, but these certainly are. Anyways, Ashe. Ashe is great. I think I'm actually going to move Cass down here. I'm going to put Ashe here, or let's do this. Let's do this. I think Ashe is a bit easier than Sojourn, honestly, to carry games. Now, of course, if you have a pocket, it's going to be a bit easier, but Ashe is kind of a powerhouse. Bob is really strong. Dynamite's really good and consistent. I think if you have good position and you just don't make silly mistakes, you worry most about living, you can get to Grandmaster fairly easily, even with bad aim on this character. And while Widowmaker definitely has a much higher carry potential, I think that you can get to Grandmaster with worse aim, worse mechanical skill than Widow. And it's kind of weird to put Widow up here in the first place. Maybe this is not correct for Widow to put her up here. I just think that, you know, it's the easiest to get to Grandmaster with Widow if you're amazing at Widow. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if you're amazing at Widow, you're probably amazing at a lot of characters. It's weird. I don't know. I'm going to keep her here, but I can definitely see the argument that she doesn't deserve here. I'm going to move her like this. Sombra. I'm going to put Sombra the D tier. If you get to Grandmaster with Sombra, I have super huge respect for you, because I think that she's hard. In a lot of ways, there's characters that are strictly better than her for the chaotic nature of ranked. You're not going to have coordination, especially when you're in the lower ranks. I think it's hard as Sombra to necessarily synergize at all with your team, like a random team. You get the most comments like Sombra's doing nothing, you could be doing a lot, people don't see it. And I think that if you're really good at Sombra, of course you could deadlift games and get to Grandmaster for sure, but it's going to be so much easier for you to have impact on Sombra in higher games. And of course, the power level of Sombra, she's still fairly weak, I think, relative to a lot of characters in the game. In the meta, still has a good place and still is perfectly capable of carrying a game, but it's hard. And I think you get a lot of respect for being able to climb and carry to Grandmaster. I'm putting her in the D tier. Might be too low, but I think it's actually probably about right. Soldier 76. Soldier, a Grandmaster Soldier player, especially a Grandmaster Soldier one trick, actually has quite a bit of respect, because once you get to like Masters, like getting to Masters or low Masters is pretty simple with Soldier. You don't even need good aim. Once you want to get to Grandmaster, you actually have to have decent aim, decent tracking to make him a better pick than a lot of other characters. If you don't have good aim, like really good aim, a lot of other characters would just be better most of the time. And I still think that he can carry games, and I still think that you can get to Grandmaster with him, of course, but it's going to be a bit worse than some of these other options. I'm going to put him here, I believe. I think this is a fair placement for him. right there. Maybe he should go here. I'm gonna put him right there. I think he's about the Kiriko level of impact. But they're both in the B tier right next to each other for different reasons. Kiriko because she's too hard to master. Soldier because I think there's an upper limit on his kit, and the only axis you can work on past a certain point is like your mechanical skill, because a lot of people have the timing and stuff down, even all the way up to masters. They know how to play, what to shoot, they know how to, you know, properly engage. It's just like there's levels of mechanical skill that can differentiate you. And if you see a GM1 soldier, just go watch any GM1 soldier 76. Their aim is just really good. And yeah, so anyways, let's move on to Pharah. Pharah's weird because getting Grandmaster with Pharah, Grandmaster 5 with Pharah, if you have a consistent mercy pocket, I think that it's not that hard. You don't even have to be that great at Pharah to do it, especially if you don't play Pharah on every single map. If you play Pharah on every single map, yeah, you're gonna have some trouble. But to get to just Grandmaster 5 with a consistent mercy pocket, I would say that she's even, you know, pretty high up in the A tier. Without the mercy pocket, maybe top of B, something like this, perhaps, I would say. You do got to keep in mind that I think Cassidy was one of the best ways to shut down a Pharah. And with less health, that actually matters. He can get spammed out a little bit easier. I'm going to say we're going to split the mid here. Split the mid here. I'm going to put Pharah here, I think. But if Pharah had a mercy pocket, like consistent mercy pocket, I'd probably put Pharah like here, with a consistent mercy pocket. But without one, I'm putting her here. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm putting her. Genji is Genji. We're gonna move Echo down, and we're putting Genji with Echo because I think Genji and Echo are about the same to get to Grandmaster. In the meta right now, in particular, they're kind of in the same spot. I think Echo's a bit better than Genji on average, but Genji is gonna be a character that if you whip him out in the right situations, of course, he could be good. But against some compositions, he's a nightmare. If you have consistent nano blades, of course, you can definitely get to Grandmaster with those. But that's like in a duo situation, kind of like with the Pharah situation. I'm putting him down here. You can definitely carry low ranked games if you're a bit better, a bit faster, and you see those mistakes that people are making. But yeah, I'm not gonna put him any higher than this. Next up, let's talk about Zenyatta. Zenyatta to Grandmaster. I think that it's fairly simple to get to Grandmaster with Zenyatta. All you have to do is discord the tank and live. Discord the tank and live. You're not having really insane players come after you all that much. You're not going to get jumped by coordination between a ton of different dive characters. Still, it can be a little annoying to stay alive. I'm going to put him here. I think that's fair. We're going to maybe move Arisa down here. Yeah. I think that this is kind of fair. Let's actually move things like this. Sure. Yeah. Let's do this. Okay. Anyways, let's talk about Reaper. Reaper, I think that Reaper's actually pretty good to get to Grandmaster with. I know a lot of people don't play Grandmaster or Reaper in the meta, and past low Grandmaster, I think Reaper starts to see some problems. If people aren't consistently hitting their shots on you, consistently punishing you when you're engaging, you're not getting one-tapped by a lot of characters, I think that he's actually really strong and a bit underrated. I'm gonna put him here. I'm gonna put him here. I think that Reaper's actually really strong, and it's actually pretty simple to get Reaper to Grandmaster. One of those characters that I think a lot of people misunderstand. Maybe I make a Reaper guide at some point soon. Mercy. So Mercy is gonna have the same problems as Arisa and Torb, where you don't have a crazy high impact over a game relative to some other characters. So climbing to Grandmaster is certainly possible, but it's about like winning games that were 45% to lose. You like win those games, but you're not like deadlifting a game from the dead. Like you're not gonna kill the entire enemy team like a charged juiced up Zarya is gonna be able to do. But I think that she is still strong. I'm gonna actually put her here. I think we're seeing a lot of changes to Mercy, which overall are a nerf. Maybe the argument should be here. To get to Grandmaster, you have to be able to consistently make the right decisions throughout a game, you're judged really harshly for your mistakes. Like, you could make one key mistake and lose a whole game. So you have to be really consistent in your play, and I think that it's fairly hard to do. So I'm gonna put her here. Hammond. Yeah, Hammond is he's a deadlifter. Hammond's a deadlifter. I'm putting Hammond up here. I'm gonna put a lot of tanks up towards the top, where, yeah, I think that perhaps it's actually like this, where we have Ball here. Ball can really just, it's not that difficult to get to Grandmaster with Ball, and here's the reasoning, and this is why it's not crazy difficult to get to Grandmaster with Ball. As long as you set up your engagements, you're properly scouting, you're setting up your engagements so that they're in the line of sight of your team, and you're making sure that you just don't get punished, you never die, you don't commit to things that will get you killed. You're just like this perma threat that doesn't really need your teammates all that much, and you can just really just take over an entire game. Sometimes it's almost like a curse, because you take over a game so much that people kind of swap to stop you. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna put Hog down here. They swap to stop you, but yeah, it's just a really great character to dominate games with. And I think if you have, like I said, one other character in your pool that you can swap to that doesn't get countered nearly as easily, that could be a character like Diva or Sigma or whatever, you can carry most games you're in, get to Grandmaster 5, and then players start to get a little bit better at countering you past that. Tracer. So Tracer has to be put high up because Widow's high up, I think. These characters are high skill ceiling characters that when you have the skill, you could deadlift a game, and I think they're fairly simple to get to Grandmaster with when you do have that skill. Now, developing that skill is not easy, once again. So you could make the argument that these characters should deserve a lower placement. I do think that you need to put them up here just purely based on the fact that I think if you just play these characters in the situations where they're good, they can take over a game even if you're not amazing. Getting Grandmaster 5 with like a Tracer, if you just play, every time you have a dive tank, you just play Tracer, you just time your engagements based on their engagements, you're just gonna do so much, and you don't even have to be amazing. You could like miss every pulse bomb in a game and still carry that game. Widowmaker, kind of same thing on the long distance maps, that's why she's here. Both these characters are really strong, and yeah, I think that if you have even a decent amount of mechanical skill aligned with these characters, or you put a decent amount of practice into these characters, yeah, you can just get a deadlift games and carry. Not as hard as some of these tanks, of course, but still. Ramatra. Yeah, this is like the one character that I think I would put above Mei. I think Ramatra, it's hard. I think Ramatra is actually one of the easiest tanks to get Grandmaster with. His ultimate is just crazy busted, very strong. He's really good at carrying against a tank that's worse than you. Ramatra is just great. I think that it requires either like a Mei or like a tank to keep you in check. So when you can just tank diff the other tank and just like run rampant around the battlefield to kill things, I'm putting him in the S tier. I think that that's fair. I think that that is fair here. Anyways, Hanzo. To get to Grandmaster, fairly hard. I think fairly hard. I think you have to be kind of a little bit of an aim wizard to get to Grandmaster with Hanzo. If you're just playing him a lot, there's there's a lot of maps that are just not that great for him. But of course, if you're an absolute god at this character, sure. But he's gonna be a little bit less powerful than characters like Widow. It's weird. Maybe I put him in the same like area over here. No, he's definitely harder than Cass to get to Grandmaster with. Maybe a bit easier than Soldier to get Grandmaster with. Maybe like this. This has to be. This is kind of hard. Some of this is hard. Anyways, we're just gonna keep it like this. Okay, Lucio. His inherent abilities are not nearly as easy to abuse and leverage as these. I think you have to get pretty crafty on Lucio to carry relative to some of the other supports. A bit easier to carry than I think Mercy, and a bit easier to get to Grandmaster than Mercy, but not by much. I'm gonna put Lucio here. I think this is fair. Maybe it's easier as this is hard. I think this is fair. I'm gonna keep it like this. Okay, Doomfist. So, okay. we all know that I think that Doomfist is one of the hardest carry characters to get to Grandmaster with if you're good at Doom. Kind of for the same thing as Widow and Tracer. If you're really, really good, like a really, really god tier Tracer, really god tier Widow, really god tier Doom, I think Doom, because he's in the tank category and he has so much like control over a game, he can carry probably harder than just about any character to Grandmaster if you're good with him. But most Dooms are not going to be that good with him. Still think that he can just deadlift a game. A bit harder to do than with Zarya, but I think for the category that these characters are in, where they require a decent amount of skill, Doom is just slightly better than them, I would say. So I'm gonna put him here. To Grandmaster Moira, kind of for the same reasons we gave some of the other characters, where Moira is gonna struggle a bit once you're in Masters. If you could get to Diamond, I think getting to Masters is a little tricky, and then getting to GM could be even more tricky, because you are in this weird situation where all these other supports are providing so much good utility to a team fight, and you don't have any. So like your utility is damage, and you have to like balance, how do I be aggressive but like not overly aggressive, help my team, heal them when I need to, and then not get shut down by like good DPS, which can easily happen as well. Still, I think that she's probably in like this tier, like here. I think here. Junker Queen can carry. She has maps that she's not great in. She does have maps that she's not great in, but she also has maps. Wait, I'm gonna move Tracer down here. I think this is probably fair, maybe. Anyways, no, I'm not. I'm putting Junker Queen here. Junker Queen has maps that you're bad with. She's definitely a bit tricky to learn than some of the other Brawl tanks, and I don't think she can deadlift as hard as a Zarya will on average, but still can deadlift. Still a very powerful tank. I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Reinhardt. Ryan's a weird one. Ryan's a weird one to get to Grandmaster with. Ooh. I think that Ryan is a bit better. Probably here is where I'll put Ryan. New Brig is just a better Ryan. Confirmed? No. I think that you can definitely get to Grandmaster with Ryan, but it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, and there's some maps that are not fantastic for you. And you need to learn a lot of fundamentals about like how to take space, how to block off the line of sight, cut the opponents, their forces in half by spacing away their back line, knowing how you're supposed to play different matchups. There's a lot of things you got to learn. It's not always the easiest to carry on this character. You're not going to be able to carry every single game. Some characters give you a really hard time. Dooms are annoying. Zaryas can be annoying. Hammonds can be annoying. Maids can be annoying. Ramachas just like ignoring you could be annoying. Like Dive. There's a lot of things that can kind of be annoying. I'm gonna put him here. Winston. I think that Winston carries harder once you're already in Grandmaster, because you have teammates that want to enable you and want to utilize your bubble and utilize your space and heal you, like appropriately heal you and give you the resources you need. But getting to Grandmaster, I think, is fairly difficult. I would put him in like this area, somewhere in this area. He's still a tank. He can still have a hard impact over a game, but your engagements have to be really tight, and he's not going to be good in every single composition. I'm going to put him here. Bastion, I think to get, he's not really a character that you could just hard like one trick to Grandmaster 2, or I don't think very easily. There are some really, really bad compositions with him. Like, you should probably not be playing a Bastion with any, like, Doom. Even Ball is a bit weird. Diva's okay. But a lot of these dive tanks are going to be a bit weird. Like Hog, you also don't want to be playing with him. And he's more like a tool. If you have him as a tool to whip out, he's actually good. But to use him all the time and get to Grandmaster with him, I think he's fairly poor. I'm putting him here. Sim. I would say that Sim is actually good. I think Sim is one of the better characters to get to Grandmaster with. One of the easier characters to get to Grandmaster with. She's adaptable. She has extra health that is in the form of shields, which is amazing. And many people, especially in the lower ranks, will just like straight up lose to a Sim. Like, they don't know how to counter this character very well. I would say that Sim is kind of like here, maybe even higher. You could probably justify it being higher, but this is more or less where I think things scale on easiest to hardest to get to Grandmaster with. Grandmaster 5, that is. Yeah, let me know which of these you agree or disagree with in the comments down below, and give me your reasoning. But smash the like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.